You two take care of yourself, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
We will.
All right.
We're going to Swindon to do a gig today in Twigs Community Gardens, which if you want to see more about what that is and how beautiful it is, I did a vlog called No One Puts Bipolar Bear in the Corner, and there's a whole tour of Twigs on there and a bit of an explanation what it is. People with mental health problems particularly can go there and have a safe place to be. Mum's coming with me when I say we. She's just been talking about how much she doesn't want to be on camera. The gig tonight, all the money raised from the entry fees or the tea and the coffee and the cake goes back into Twigs to help them and hopefully help more people's lives. We've got a major lineup of poets today. I'm so excited to... I get looked after so much better when Mum comes. I normally live on coffee and sweets. But today I get an apple.
Oh dear.
Well, that's my face. Come on there.
Keep to it.
This mug is actually bigger than my face. Oh, we're over here. Pretty.
This place. This is a peaceful place where people find themselves, where they learn to have confidence. They find themselves grounded in the soil and the growing, in the planting and the sowing, in the feeding and the nurturing of the seeds growing and developing, brought on with rain and sunshine. They find themselves slowly as they move gently on.
We're going to have some poetry, some poets doing some poetry stuff. We're going to have a raffle, we're going to have tea and coffee, and we're going to have a really good time. We're going to have a good time. That is guaranteed. Yeah, we've got some high quality prints made of the flyer that's been doing around on social media. All the poets tonight have signed it. We're going to frame them in some high quality frames that are procured from the range this afternoon. You know, if you buy a raffle ticket, bear in mind, you know, you're going to be in the money if you win, because these frames cost up to and anything including £2.09. Man make fire.
That doesn't look like you made much fire.
Tonight we've got 5 poets on the bill for you. We've got Sam Grudgens, we've got Derek Doran, we've got Sam Lovelace, we have Jemima Hughes, who's sat there filming me, and Beatrice Mark.
Dust and matter kick up in the air, making the air space. Light glistens and takes over the darkness. The universe conspires to make itself, for there is no one else there that can.
What a wonderful setting. It's my first time here at Twigs, and it's just a beautiful place, eh? I work as a bus driver. This first one is called Wasp in My Cockpit. It's not a euphemism. There's a feisty wasp in my cockpit. It flew in through a barely open window, but is unable to find its way out, even though the window is now fully open. A passenger gets on at Mitcheldean and alerts me to a woman over the road who is trying to get rid of a crow that's been following her all morning. Do you know my mate Bob? He asks. He drives a bus in Cornwall.
A door can have a single feature, an oval shape, a pattern discreet, or a bold brass knocker, saying ask and nothing beyond here will be hidden.
Bus drivers don't have seatbelts because we're not deemed worthy. So when I crash and fly through the windscreen, I'll be able to enjoy the rest of my trip without worrying about crashing the bus and flying through the windscreen.
I'd write about the big people who have been steeped in entitlement from the nursery through to their tiny private school classes and their hothouse growing conditions, such that the self-fulfilling recycling policy turns them out into Oxbridge universities.
It's dark. Exhaust fumes burn the air and the car is in park. I'm unaware he's about to leave his first mark. The warning lights weren't on, so how was I meant to know there was about to be a problem, let alone a big one? To me, the fact a guy showed any interest was a phenomenon.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna start with the super depressing stuff, because that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. In this beautiful evening, let's just depress the shit out of each other. I'm hitting Depressionville pretty fast. My eyes are cornered on the sheet of the paper, hoping that I will find the right words, the right angle to provide a grounding statement that will pull me out of this totality. I'm hoping to find these mystical words that will guide me out of this instability, this dry wound that never heals, all the lies that I tell myself about the very nature of being depressed.
It wasn't locked. I could have got out and ran or let out a shout, but I sat and barely entertained my doubt because it was too early to cause a fallout. It didn't matter if to my religion I was devout because I knew it wasn't within my character to act out and that it wasn't something that I was going to talk about, maybe.
And I feel like a fool, wanting to cry at this moment, to truly feel the parameter of these feelings, that at any moment I could die and I would be sad. So I would have written this to remind myself that this pattern does shift. It changes and fades away, and it re-emerges or it breaks off. It decomposes and it comes back. And I know I have to adapt as it has adapted to me.
Days passed with me wearing a mask, constantly harassed with messages to keep quiet, but that part wasn't much of a task. The more he kept to check the tie to the new Scott around my neck, the more I realised what he did was wrong. My crippled personality struggled to belong, with thoughts of it repeating like an overplayed song. To ask for help, I knew I had to be strong. I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them because they'll understand. Because they'll believe me when I say it was his command and that he emotionlessly forced my hand. But what if they make me take a stand? I'm going to tell them. Because they'll know what to do. They always do. Because they'll stop it before it escalates to something more taboo. Because they can help me to start anew, and because then they'll understand why the last time they went in for a hug I involuntarily withdrew. Because they'll believe what I'm telling them is true. Because Mum will comfort me with her winter stew whilst Dad does his best to undo this warped view that all men will act this way too.
I'm going to try and make sure I keep it, relatively upbeat, but I do have a habit about thinking about death. I've been thinking about death a lot recently, but the good thing is that death has been thinking about me too. We matched on Tinder. We're going to be going on a date soon, because it stands to reason that whenever I have a near-death moment, death must also have a near-Sam moment as well. So we're probably going to go out, and I'm starting to think that a near-death experience kind of constitutes my entire drinking days. I was drinking for a decade. Nowadays, if you ask me out and you want to take me somewhere, I say I'll have my coffee strong, because I am not. And I've been keeping strange hours and stranger conversations as a result. You see, I've been sick for years. And I've always known what my cure was. I just never stopped to take it, because the antidote always was take none with nothing but strength and willpower. And the only thing that I knew about strength was how strong to pour my drink, and that was always too strong. See, an alcoholic's lives aren't measured in minutes and days. They're measured in units and regrets and the ways they could have changed but didn't. And I can tell you that we will never change. And right now, it feels like a Herculean effort not to stay the destructive sane, but truth be told, I'm more like Ariadne, spinning the web of my story and the strands of my recovery around those I love and others around me. And as a poet, I know that I should always pick the best story to tell, but I have been slurring this narrative to every bartender in the city for the past 6 years that would listen, and some of those that wouldn't. The verdict is in. The script is shit. The backstory is cliched, and the acting is amateur dramatics at best. So, perhaps time to change my tactics. The cold and sober fact is I'm better off without this.
It's not all daffodils and dry stone walls, Shakespearean tales from a bygone age. It's more earthy than that. It kind of picks up the track laid by Ferlinghetti, Corso and Kerouac. Yeah, somewhat obviously that I pointed those out. Any fool can list shit from Google. But a reader I'm not. I've just heard odds and sods. Soaking up influence from the best wordsmiths to grace this earth. I'll not list them, we've all got our favourites. But every poet has a story. Every poet has a tale. So how about this? Let's share a few. After all, it's what we do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Rusty Goats Poacher Corner Twigs Takeover Volume 2.